Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the Juggernaut Training Systems YouTube. This week we just released a new line of apparel, so check out the designs here and visit the link below in the info to get it at store.jtsstrength.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to our week in review for the week of May 22nd. This is Kristen's final week of general strength work before a deload and then embarking on her peaking block. And this is a deload week for Marissa before she begins peaking for IPF Worlds next week. So here's Kristen's Monday squat workout. Just getting volume in, getting hard volume in, 4x4 at 315. The main thing we're looking at for her technically is to do a good job of keeping her knees forward out of the hole, to use her very strong quads, and to do that best, she needs to be active, ideally more active than this, in pushing her upper back into the bar as she hits the hole as her first move coming out of the hole. You can see a little bit more here on the last rep. Her hips rise a bit early, that causes the knees to shift back. As the knees shift back, more weight's going into the hamstrings and the back, and we want her to be able to use her legs better. So always a constant work in progress. Here's some deload squatting from Marissa on Monday. Yeah, she's so experienced at this point. I leave her a lot of autonomy for the deload week. Just making sure that it's less than the week before, which I think as you become a more and more experienced lifter, it becomes easier and easier to do less because the hard work is so hard that you're not trying to do it when you don't need to do it. So she's just doing some high bar work there, 110 kilos. Here's Tuesday, Marissa's deload bench workout. I'm not sure if on the right of the screen here that's someone's arm or leg into butt. Yeah, probably arm. Probably an arm and a shoulder. But Marissa's bench been looking very strong, hit several PRs throughout this training cycle, so just keeping the work in. But giving herself a bit of a break. On the bench, particularly female lifters don't need to deload as significantly as the weights aren't generating as much fatigue to begin with. Here is a bench PR for Kristen, 92.5 kilos, 204 pounds for a triple. We usually just tend to pause just have everyone pause the first rep of every set, whether that's a set of 1, whether that's a set of 10. They get that practice in. This is right on track for where we want to be on Kristen's bench. Her best meet bench is actually only 204. We'd pass a third attempt in our last meet, but hopefully should be pushing up closer to that 100 kilo, 220 pound mark for her in July. Some Spoto presses after that. That's going to help teach the athlete how to stay tight, build stability in the shoulders, and an exercise I found to have really high carryover with people. Here's Wednesday's deadlifting work. Marissa just going through again deload work, keeping the fitness up. This is probably a little bit more volume, or at least more reps per set than I'd normally like to have her do on a deload week, but very easy work at 275 for multiple sets of 5. She hit a big a training deadlift PR the next week after this, so you guys can look forward to that in next week's video. Now the deadlift for Kristen has been a tough one. She's coming back from the back injuries and has pulled 419 in a meet. But as I do with most sumo deadlifters, we dedicate the majority of the early work in the training to conventional deadlift. So she's probably spent about 70% of her time up to this point conventional deadlifting. And while the conventional deadlift has grown a lot and the squat has grown a lot, the technique for the sumo deadlift is not quite there. And anyone who knows the sumo deadlift knows that it's highly technical. So while we're aiming for a triple with that 391, we actually only got a single out of it, and it's just in regards to knee position, foot position and knee position, where her hips are compared to the bar. But we know that the strength is there, so looking forward to her putting all this new strength from the conventional deadlift and the sumo deadlift together with improved technique through the peaking block and hitting a big weight. You can see Marissa's other deload squat workout. Just work. It's just work. Here's a big squat PR for Kristen, 163.5 kilos, half a kilo more than the American record in her 63 kilo class. and did it for a triple. So you could say that we're on good track. You can still see the issues we were talking about with the knees shifting back a little bit too much out of the hole. Her knees also coming in a bit here, and this is something we're going to be addressing, but this is the most weight she'd ever had on her back. So to not just do it for a single, but go ahead and do it for a triple is great. And I think the technical problems were probably more linked to just the psychological feeling of, you know, holy shit, this is a heavy weight, I've never felt this before, rather than real technical problems, but still things that we're going to be keeping in mind as she enters the peaking block and we look to develop technical prowess. So look forward to next week's video as Marissa begins peaking for IPF Raw Worlds, and we'll see you next time.
My name's Steve Gentili. I've been working with Chad online for about the past 6 months. During that time, I've been able to create some PRs on all 3 of my lifts and improving my total by about, I believe it's 58 pounds is the number. Working with Chad has been great. You know, he's a really smart guy, but also on top of that, he's just a real genuine dude. So it's really easy for him to give me information to work off of and give me those little tweaks that I can really utilize in my own training to build off of. Even though that the programming is all done online, I'm still able to get in contact with Chad, and really the communication has been great.